Wow. Two Trump lawyers resign following indictment. That is just nuts. Um, no, I don't want to do that. I don't know why they would do that, but
Monopolist, this was just a regular dispute over documents.
Yeah, President Trump, this won't be a newsflash.
let's hear what
He's a
he
pretty
has to say.
resilient guy. He's a pretty tough-hided person. So he's not, crumbling in fear or anything remotely like that. He's upset by the notion of this indictment. It's a different conversation.
Now Trump says Trustee will no longer represent him in the case. I want to bring in ABC News executive
We just want to hear
editorial
what they have
producer
to say
John
about this.
Santucci for more.
Just for
John, what are
commentary.
you hearing about this change to Trump's legal team?
It is an outright resignation. These were lawyers that had been by Donald Trump's side, had been working this case for the better part of a year. Charges come, they stepped out. And I think that also has to do with the fact, this is going to be surprising, Diane, there was infighting within Team Trump. We've heard that before. But what they're doing now is they're moving a new lawyer, but a familiar face, Todd Blanche, into the lead position. The problem here with that, though, Diane, Todd Blanche is also working on indictment 1 on Donald Trump, the Manhattan DA's case. So there's a lot of work to be done here. Trump writing on social media that we're going to bring another law firm on to assist with this. No idea who that is, but you showed a little clip there.
That's going to be me.
Tough interview this morning with George.
That's the amateur lawyer, darling.
This is a tough case. This is significant charges.
This is an easy
Through our
case.
reporting, these are 7 counts. We're going to learn
This
more
case is
in the
easy,
coming
Trump.
days. Really stiff consequences.
Trump,
And
they're
quite
not
frankly,
thinking
we still don't know
clearly.
the full breakdown on the case. Once that
Here's what I think. I think
indictment is unsealed, we're going to learn a lot more than we know right now.
Now,
I
ABC
think
News
what
has also
Trump
learned
needs.
that an aide to former President Trump, Walt Nauta, he's also been charged by the special counsel. What's the latest on
So
that?
we don't know the exact charges. Our sources tell us that Nauta was indeed indicted by this same grand jury down in Florida that Trump was indicted by. All relates to the taking of documents. And you have to remember, this was the aide, remember all of our reporting, who helped move the boxes, helped Trump go through the boxes.
That's like a problem.
Conspiracy is a charge that takes 2 to tango at a minimum. So you have to imagine that is something related here. Again, we don't know the specific charges, but Nauta is a loyal aide. I'm hearing from my sources, it's not as though Nauta...
Okay, so what do I think about that? Well, conspiracy is a very serious charge, and I think that if in fact a conspiracy is proven, that there will obviously be consequences, and there should be consequences, because again, yes, nobody is above the law, not even President Trump. The question for me is whether or not this was a conspiracy, or whether it was a boss instructing his employee to conduct certain tasks. It's a conspiracy if what the boss asked him to do was illegal, and it's illegal if what the boss himself was doing was illegal, which was to be in possession of or retain documents that he had no authority to retain. And so for me, the whole case rises on whether he did or did not have the authority. It's a very, very simple case. It's either yes, he did, or no, he did not. And my position on this is that like him or hate him, want him to be president or not. I mean, I don't want Donald Trump to be president again, but that's like my personal political views, which are completely different from my views as, I don't want to say as a lawyer, because I have, I'm an amateur lawyer, right? I am an amateur lawyer. I mean, I have no idea about this stuff. Criminal law is not my area. Litigation, none of this stuff is my area. I mean, I teach 5-year-olds how to say the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s in English, okay? In France. I mean, I don't even live in America at the moment. So I'm not a lawyer in the strictest sense of the word. And even though technically I am, because I did go to law school, I passed the bar, I have my license, etc., etc. But, this stuff is not my area. So these are just sort of my knee-jerk reactions to just the data. I hear the data, with a little bit of law that's sort of left in, the cerebral cortex. I try to make an evaluation and analysis of, what do I think? I mean, and for me, first you would have to prove that what he did was a crime, before you can prove that there was a conspiracy, and before you can prove that his employee was a part of this conspiracy. And I'm not convinced that what he did was a crime, because I think it was a part of his executive authority as a president. He wasn't the current sitting active president in the Oval Office. No. But he is a president, and I think the Article 2, not the Second Amendment, if I said that before, excuse me, Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution is, Section 1 of that article is very clear that, the executive powers of the president is is within a person who's elected, or who has been elected as president of the country, and based on the norms of the country, and perhaps these are immemorialized in certain statutes that I'm not privy to at this particular moment. I'm sure that there are other ways to gauge, to prove, to argue, well, exactly what are the powers of the executives of the United States. Trump is one of those executives. Trump is one of those executives. I mean, look, it's in everything. It's in the seating arrangement at official events concerning the United States, whether it's the funeral of another president, or I'm not even sure what are all of the events that all of the presidents show up to at the White House, including inaugurations and so on and so forth. He is an executive. He is not the current acting president, but he is a president. And the Article 2 of the Constitution does not speak of the president. It speaks of a president, a president. Okay? So that has to be taken into consideration. And so if he is a president, he is an executive, and he has executive powers, then what he was doing, and the things being at Mar-a-Lago that was sent over while he was still the acting president. He was the president. Now he's a president, but he was the president when he ordered those boxes to be removed, or when he helped to pack those boxes himself, because I'm sure he did not pack them up on the day that he left office, whatever day that was, right? That was before. They were shipped off before, and he was still president on that day. He was the president on that day. Now he's a president who still has executive powers, who still receives classified information, who still has a certain security clearance, etc., etc., etc. And if that's the case, then I would argue that in the capacity of an employer-employee, there was no conspiracy. There was an order, move these boxes, because he had full authority to have those boxes. Now, he was asked to return those boxes, right, by subpoena, and he refused to do so. What his basis for that was at this point, I'm not really sure. Should he have returned those boxes when he was subpoenaed to do so? Probably. I would have done it if I were in his position. He chose not to do that because he felt that he had a right to the material, right? In his subjective opinion, in his objective opinion, whatever it was. Now, this is a question for debate, right? Did he have the authority? Some will say no, some will say yes. Right? But until we have an answer to that question that is based on what the actual law is, what it says in the Constitution and all of the other relevant statutes, I can't say that this man was in the process of committing a criminal act, and therefore that his valet was part of a conspiracy to commit this criminal act. First, we have to prove that his having these documents was a criminal act, and I am not convinced that it was a criminal act, because he is a president. He's an executive. He has executive powers. Those powers will remain with him until he dies, right? And so there's a certain amount of deference that goes to him because of that specific status that he has, right? He cannot be compared to someone else who has never been a president of the United States. It's completely improper, right? Now, again, Do I fundamentally think that he behaved improperly? Probably. Probably I would say that he behaved improperly. I don't know that I would say that he behaved illegally, but he behaved improperly in many different ways. And I think for that reason, he, in my opinion, for me, let's now move out of the legal issue into my political beliefs, my ethical beliefs. I think he's disqualified from being a president. But in fact, it's not really just up to my ethics. It's up to the ethics of the American people and whether this is who they want as their president. Everybody has a right to choose who they want to be governed by. It's not just about my ethics and my moral compass, right? For me, he's disqualified because he makes me nervous. He stresses me. When he's president, crazy things happen. It's exciting AF. It's exciting AF. And the entire media industry knows it, right? They sit around talking about him. Finally, they have something to talk about and they don't want it to stop because Trump is a roller coaster of excitement, right? But it's too much excitement for me. I don't want him to be president. I think that he should be disqualified based on just the whole totality of circumstances. But I certainly don't know that I agree that he acted illegally from the standpoint of whether he had authority for these classified documents. I'm not convinced that he did not.